Greetings, beloved. Brian Antonio here. And today's question for you is, if you're going to build a theme park of your own, you got a couple $1 billion, where would you place your theme park? I have a few places to look at today. And then I guess the follow-up question to that is, what's important when you're looking for a theme park? I'm Brian Antonio. All my life I dreamed of being an Imagineer, and it just wasn't something that was possible the way my life developed. And now that I'm old and I'm tired, I would not have the patience and energy to deal with the politics and the bean counters of the big places that we all think of when we think of theme design and theme parks. But hey, I don't need that because I can still do my dreaming and my designing from home right here on my computer, and I'm bringing you with me. So my first place, I love New Mexico. When I moved out here to El Paso, and now I live across the border right here in a suburb of El Paso, which is in New Mexico. New Mexico is called the land of enchantment, and they are not joking. It is the most beautiful state I've ever seen. I love the desert, and I love the mountains. These mountains, the Sandia Mountains around Albuquerque, are beautiful, breathtaking, purple, pink, red, green. And so, unfortunately, New Mexico is not a population center. For a theme park, you kind of want a population center. They do have University of New Mexico. They do have this Kirtland Air Force Base. There's a lot of cool tribal areas down here to the south. Albuquerque has been spreading up here to the northwest. And then, of course, it's spreading more and more up to Santa Fe, which is not that far. Then you get the mountains and Taos. So it's a humble little small place. But, of course, Albuquerque International Sunport is the main airport for the region. And you see Highway 25 goes all the way through from north to south. And this Highway 40 will cut over to the east part of the state. And right here, not too far from the airport, I found this little area, again along a major highway, not far from the airport, near the population center, and it's desert. I love the desert, but I have to admit that one of my favorite features of a theme park are water. So up here in the high mountain desert, probably wouldn't have too much water, but you probably could have a lake or a stream or something like that. Here's a little space I found. Another difficult thing for a theme park is you kind of want flat terrain because it's very expensive and difficult to move and build on lots of terrain. The trade-off, however, is it's beautiful. And I was thinking of, there was a themed experience / theme park up near Salt Lake City, I think, that was based more on people interacting with theme characters, role-playing characters, actors, performers, and kind of more of a, like a scavenger hunt. Yes, I think here there could be rides inside and outside, but also really a focus around interacting with the story and creating your own character and story. Albuquerque does get weather up here in the mountains. It definitely gets cold and snowy. But I definitely would want a year-round park, even here. I guess my only worry would be is if the weather ever gets such that the roads are not clear enough to get there. But so this was one of the places I thought of. I have another one that I'm pretty sure nobody thought of, and that is in Baja, Mexico, in their most famous tourist area called the Valle de Guadalupe. And the Valle de Guadalupe is a world famous wine region, and people will travel all the way from all parts of California and around the country and around Mexico to see the Valle de Guadalupe. So when you have a population center here, Ensenada is down here, one of the biggest cities in Baja California. Then, of course, even bigger up here, you have the largest border city, Tijuana, with the largest border crossing, and then not too far from there is San Diego, and then not too far up here is Los Angeles. You have the Tijuana airport, and it's very common to hop on a bus down to the Valle de Guadalupe or to get a driver or take an Uber. And I noticed over here you have the Arena Valle de Guadalupe. Now it's interesting, for a wine region, you're going to have, again, very dry soil, but it is a Mediterranean climate here, which makes sense for wine, right? And I noticed this almost looks like volcanic soil, but there's tons of soil here. And I noticed they have this Arena Valle de Guadalupe, which means that people are willing to come here for events at the arena, and that workers can get there, because that's another important thing. And so I feel like a little bitty theme park here, look at that 200 meters, you could make that easily into, look at that 500 meters, so that's over 1,500 feet in a circle, would be a cool area. The politics up here is stable. There's low crime, and like I said, great tourist area. It is Mexico, and there aren't that many theme parks in Mexico. They're developing one outside Puerto Vallarta. There's, amusement parks in Mexico City. There's a couple, but not any in this area. And it's still pretty far, even up to like Disney and Universal and all that way up there. Look at that, way up there. But still, all those people do come down this way. A lot of people cross that border to Tijuana, Ensenada, Rosarito, and Valle de Guadalupe. But ultimately, my favorite choice, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I lived in Chicago. And one thing I know, I looked up here, but the real estate is too expensive. There are, of course, 3 million more people up in this area than you can also draw from Milwaukee and all. But I finally decided that down here in St. Louis, you got about 3 million people in the metro area. And the Metro East right here has really good politics. I love that there's lots of water, because I like to do a lot with water. It is straight down Highway 270. You can get real easily to St. Louis Lambert International Airport. You're also not far from Alton, Belleville, and then, of course, you're on Highway 55 going north and south. That goes, from down in Louisiana all the way up to Chicago, past Memphis, through St. Louis to Chicago. So I thought this was a great place. I finally settled on this place. And the land was really cheap. Now, I don't know if it is anymore, but it's still reasonably cheap, and there's just farmland everywhere out here. So I like this little area right here that I'm looking at. And so that is where I have made a master plan. Where we have, at the top, we have let's get some drawing here, perfect. The top up here, we have the first park, which another fun thing to talk about would be what your parks have. And then down at the bottom, we have a second park. And then over here, we have a third, less and less traditional parks. We have an indigenous space here in the middle. Like I said, we're connected to Highway 270, Highway 55, near the town of Edwardsville, which has Southern Illinois University there. St. Louis has a lot of educational institutions, a lot of industry, and of course, Springfield, Bloomington Normal, Peoria going up Illinois. So here's where I settled on my spot. So share in your comments, where will you put your dream theme park?